Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, viewer mail, and people are really beginning to piss me off. Coming at you right now. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show. I'm going to get right to it. It's going to be a short and sweet and to the point and fuck you show. Are you ready? Let me tell you what I mean by that. First of all, viewer mail. Francine Stockton of Cape Elizabeth, Maine says, how can you support these deportations? Okay, Francine, so I can see that we're on very opposite ends of the spectrum. But while the Biden administration, and listen to me carefully though, because I know this is what happened. I know. While the Biden administration left the border in Texas and Arizona, particularly in Texas, but in other border states like New Mexico, California, they allowed 20 million plus people to flood across the border in 4 years. Why? Why would Joe Biden and the administration and the Democrats, why would they want that to happen? Okay, so they took airplanes and filled them with illegals and landed in strategic areas. They took people that came over the border and put them on buses and dropped them off in Ohio, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in places where the last few elections have been decided. The seven, remember the 7 states, the swing states that were going to determine whether or not Kamala Harris or Donald Trump won the election? And I warned you, all 7 states will go to Trump. He will sweep them all and crush her. You're crazy, Daniel. It's a toss-up. I'd listen to members of my own family tell me, yeah, you know better than the pollsters. Yeah, you know better. Okay. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get anything. I didn't get you were right. I didn't get anything for it from people that were very close to me. I was right. He won all 7. The strategy here is to let them come in. In the 4 years that Trump is president, they will get the right to vote. They will get some rights already as Americans, as pledging to get into the country and so on. Illegally, by the way. They didn't do it the way many of the other people, the great immigrants of this country, have done it. They didn't have to do that. They pass go, do not pay $200, do not, just like in Monopoly. So, Francine Stockton of Cape Elizabeth, Maine, let me tell you, this president got elected. One of the biggest reasons why more American Republicans than Democrats, and I think quite a few Democrats also, by the way, who started to see the direction this country was going in, voted for Trump. They won't admit it, but they did. So he gets elected with the majority of the vote and winning the Electoral College by a whole bunch of votes. And he went ahead and did exactly what he said. I'm going to find these people, particularly the criminals, first. He is also, I don't know if you realize, opened up a way for them to say, hey, I entered illegally. I'd like to admit that. And without being hunted by anyone, I'd like to forfeit it because this is the real deal. They're going to finally eventually catch me. He's given them the option to do that. Peacefully, quietly, leave the country. We'll even fly you out. Not a lot of people are taking people up on that because the odds are that by the time they round up all the criminals from jails in Venezuela and all the crazy crap that's going on, the gang members who are murdering our people and raping our women and so on and so forth. So, yes, I voted for him. I will tell you, as an actor, very unpopular in the acting world to say that you're a Republican and you voted for Trump. In many ways, if you listen to the Democrats, it's very unpopular to say, particularly to somebody like you, Francine, just by the way you shaped your question. So it's not popular with you and your group or the governor of Maine, where you're from, or whatever, that I supported getting people out of this country that didn't work their way in, fill out the paperwork and ask politely and do all the necessary steps to be documented. I want them out. Particularly, and what you're missing, and a lot of people are missing up in Minnesota, where they have 1 or 2 people, and now it's 2 that were killed. And again, my heart goes out to them, their families, and everybody else. But I want to show you something. Can we put this document up for everyone to look at? Leave it up right now while I talk, please. Bill Clinton, 12.5 million deportations, 0 protests or riots. Leave the document up, please. Barack Obama, 5.2 million deportations, zero protests or riots. And President Trump, only 1.5 million deportations, 350 protests and riots. So I ask you, Francine Stockton of Cape Elizabeth, Maine, what's the differentiation between those four? One of them's Trump. One of them was a Republican, Bush. Two Democrats. Not one deportation, not one riot. If you don't know in your heart of hearts, let me explain to you that there is an entire financial system behind creating this havoc, behind causing this problem, funding protesters and blah, 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 because it's Trump. You didn't say boo-hoo. You didn't say shit about the other three presidents. Not one riot, not one. Barack Obama, they used footage of kids in cages and claimed it was Trump's administration. It wasn't. It was Obama before that separated the families, that said, this is a byproduct of what happens. Bad things are going to happen to people. Unfortunately, I have to do my job. The laws, according to Obama, the laws, if you want to change it, change the law. But I am practicing and and instituting the laws that Congress has passed about deportation. So is Trump, under terrible duress, under incredible amount of publicity and unpopularity, which, again, you don't see a lot of Republicans that elected this man running around saying, I hate the way you're doing this. None of us want anyone to be killed. None of us want a loss of life in any way. So I'm going to segue directly into what I want to do today's show about. Because I just, for the life of me, this is that sensationalism. This is that, I'm not sure, it's such a deep hatred for the president and the administration that you can't even hear. So I'm not going to name this person, and there was a number of them. I posted the following PSA in reaction to what's going on in Minnesota. Could you play the PSA that I put out, please? It's a couple minutes long, but please, I want you to watch this. I want you to listen carefully to what I say. Listen carefully, please. And then I'm going to comment. I'm going to show you something that this one person I've known for a long time wrote me. I had to eliminate them as my friend on social media. We went back and forth, but I'm going to read one segment they said. But again, listen to what I say in this, and then I'll read this to you. Go ahead and play it, please.
So a lot of people seem to have forgotten that Obama was a big supporter of border control and ICE. They seem to also forget that 56 people died in ICE custody during his tenure as president. He also had this to say. Watch.
Well, I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. And Congress right now has not changed what I consider to be a broken immigration system. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that we have certain obligations to enforce the laws that are in place, even if we think that in many cases the results may be tragic. There are going to be some stories that break our hearts.
So you just heard it from the former president, who said his job is to enforce laws already on the books. The same thing Trump is doing right now. But with all the riots and rhetoric, you're wondering what changed? Nothing besides the president. What's your take?
So what I heard myself say was, I never said you don't have a right to protest. I never said your voice shouldn't be heard. I never said you shouldn't go to rallies or whatever you're going to go to with your signs yelling out from a safe distance with your phone if you want to videotape it or whatever. What I'm going to tell you and what I thought I was saying and what I said was, don't get between agents of law enforcement and the subject. Don't get in the road. Don't block with your car. Don't physically get involved in this. Listen, if this was a bank robbery and you ran in between them, you'd get shot or you'd get knocked down with clubs. If somebody was getting arrested and you decided to get involved in their arrest or whatever it was in New York City where I grew up, they took clubs out and they beat the shit out of you. So again, now, no matter what the finding is, if the ICE officers that shot this guy, Preddy, were out of line, you know what, they'll be prosecuted like anybody else that happens. That happens. Under Barack Obama, listen carefully now, under Barack Obama, 58 people lost their lives due to ICE interventions. 58 people. No protests, no riots. 58 people got killed. No protests or riots. That 58. 2 in Minnesota. Both of them, one hitting a car and hitting an ICE agent. Another one, I don't have all the details yet, but if that footage shows that they took his gun and the gun went off, whatever, they thought they were being shot again. Innocent people during robberies and shootouts and stuff, they get hit with bullets. 2 blocks away through a window, hits the kid, and we hear about it and we say, oh, what a terrible thing. What happened? Bad guys, good guys, bullet. I don't know what happened, but this is part of what's going on. This guy got involved in an altercation physically with ICE agents in the middle of them doing their job. In the video that you just saw me say, what I was clearly saying to you is, if you see alcohol, tobacco, and firearms surrounded a car on the highway, please don't pull your car over. Please don't get involved in it. I didn't say if you're having an organized protest or a rally or whatever, that you shouldn't be heard, that you shouldn't, but don't get in the fray. Don't get physically involved. This guy was trying to protect some woman or whatever. Why would you do that? You're an ICU nurse. You're not qualified, nor do you have the law enforcement credentials to intervene or get involved. You're not the, when I think I should get involved, police. You're not. You're getting in between people that have badges and credentials and that are doing their job. What I meant by this post, what I meant by this PSA was, please listen to me, because I don't want to see anybody else get hurt. I don't want to see circumstances by which someone shoots you because they saw your cell phone, they thought it was a gun, whatever it is. I don't want to see putting someone who's a bad cop. Of the few bad cops there are, I don't want that guy to aggressively shoot you either. Don't put yourself in harm's way. And you have to look at that. I know enough since I'm a kid. Since I'm a little kid, I know enough that when the police have their guns out, that's not something I'm stepping in between. That's not something now, if my kid was involved, or I was in the car, and again, are there some circumstances by which you might find, yes, please don't write me those stupid, idiotic examples. Please don't. Now, this friend who's, I thought was my friend, again, the difference between he and I is, I'm not going to say, I think he's a X, Y, Z, I think he's a moron, I think he's a fucking this, but I'm not going to say that stuff. I'm not. And I don't feel that way. I think he has a right to express himself. I'm glad that he did it on a direct message. Some of the stuff you're up to listen to this. He's talking about the video you just watched. The entire video is working hard to blame the victims. Stay out of the way. Not using the term ICE does not give you a pass. I did use the term ICE. I said FBI, ICE. So again, inaccurate, because he cannot see through the Trump-hating goggles and the information that is being, CNN down your throat, and people that are going to try to make this look, the same people that are paying. The girl who got shot was paid. She was with her lover, and she was being compensated to be there, to interfere with her car. So God knows what they told her in private. Yeah, if you can nudge your car up, and here's some techniques you can, and they were wrong. Those aren't techniques that you use. Do not get involved in physically getting in an altercation with law enforcement. Please, I'm asking you, and I meant the PSA as a public service. This is where these types of things happen. And guess what? If you go ahead and you decide to intervene on law enforcement when they have their guns out or they're doing their job, and you get hurt, you get hit, you get shot, you put yourself there. Who in their right mind would step in between a gun and somebody else with law enforcement agents physically involved in an altercation? You're running from the side of the road with your phone getting involved in that. Are you a fucking idiot? That's what I meant by it. Please don't get involved physically. I didn't say don't yell. I didn't say don't get on the news cameras. I didn't say don't earn your paycheck from the people if you're a protester getting paid. If you're an innocent person walking by, don't go out in the street and get in between law enforcement and them doing their job. Please don't do that. That's not against your right to protest. That's not telling you not to be heard, or I don't want you to get hurt. That's what the PSA was about. You ready? Not using the term ICE does not give you a pass. You clearly are implying these good people that were shot should not have put themselves in that position. Amazing you would make that video and you're not 100% outraged by the targeted attack in the state that ranks 22nd in immigration. You are on the wrong side on this, and your common sense message should come into play when you jump in such an American tragedy that happened. Again, is it tragic that either one of these? Yes, of course it is. Should their sexual preference, should there this? None of that matters. None of it. What I'm trying to say is, if you had listened to this PSA and you were an intensive care nurse and you said, hey, you guys, and you filmed it and you posted it and you got on social media, the minute you walked out into the street, the minute you bent down to try to pick the woman up while I don't know what she did, I don't know if they were in the right or wrong, take your footage, file your complaint, file your charges, file your lawsuit, whatever you're going to do. But there's a law-abiding way to do it. Getting in between law enforcement and them doing their job, when does that end? So when do I get to take one of my many guns and put them, and I'm allowed to carry them, and decide I'm going to pull cars over, and decide I'm going to start to arrest people? I'm going to arrest them. If I see drug deals and I see a deal go down, I'm going to videotape, I'm going to get out, I'm going to take my gun out. Now again, this guy didn't take his gun out, but can I go tackle the drug dealer and make a citizen's arrest? Can I stop a cop because I think the guy's innocent? Can I get involved with 3 cops converge on a car and step in between them and their guns and go, hey man, no, this isn't cool. I don't think Freddie here did anything wrong. How do you think that's going to turn out? Turn around and put your fucking hands on the back of your head, get on your knees. That's what they're going to say here in Atlanta. That's what they would say where I grew up in New York. Who the hell do you think you are to get there? And I didn't say any of that stuff. I'm not saying that about this poor man who's now no longer breathing. I'm saying to the average person, you can get caught up in all this. You can get caught up in how you feel about it. You can get caught up in what you think is right and wrong. Please listen to me again when I say this. And this person that was my friend has been my friend for over a decade and a half probably. And I dropped him as a friend. I unfriended him on the social media site that I'm on that we had in common, because it went on and on and on about this pedo president, and when the Epstein files come out. So clearly, like Francine Stockton. Now, I will promise you that Francine Stockton, if you're listening, I'm going to guess that you're a registered Democrat from Maine, that you support the Biden administration, that you don't like Trump, and blah, blah. And again, I don't sit here and tell you why you're wrong, and I have my feelings, I have my evidence, I'm also eagerly waiting, because if my prediction is right, I'm eagerly waiting for the Epstein files unredacted to come out. And I think you're going to find, as has been claimed, and there are no airplane vouchers or registrations that have Trump on that island. He's never been there. Why would he ever say I've never been there, knowing there were witnesses that worked there? Because he's never been there. Now, pictures of him, one of them I saw was the Miss USA contest, and it was the contestants, the girls and the contestants. And it said, here he is with underage girls. No, it wasn't. I was a judge of the Miss USA contest that happened in Gary, Indiana, with Queen Latifah. What a lineup. Imagine Queen Latifah, Martha Stewart, me, but I'll tell that story another time. But no, I don't think you're going to find all these charges and that he's hiding things because he did something wrong. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. He's just not that guy. But of course, we're going to build this up, and we're going to continue to say he's hiding this, he's hiding that. Now, is he the loyal kind of friend, am I finding in President Trump, that there may be people that he knows well that are on that list, or there is? And again, I really don't care about the list. I don't care what list you're going to. I want to see the videos. I want you to put the video down. So we have in this group evidence on the the manifesto that covers who was on the planes that went to the island. One former president, for sure, that was there 28 times plus, and other, things that happened. There must be people that were on that island that could testify to what happened. Was this President Bill Clinton involved in sexual activity with underage women? There's a lot of rumors going around about it. Was Barack Obama involved? There's a lot of people talking, nowhere near what's talking about Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and what happened. But there isn't one person that said they ever saw Donald Trump on the island. Now it's shifted to things that happened in New York City, perhaps at parties. Again, so I think you're going to be very disappointed, the Trump haters, of what they're going to find in the files. But I think what you might find is that there are some supporters on both sides. There is English royalty and beyond. There are very famous athletes and actors that went to, and producers and people in the financial world. There's a big list. It's not just the big names. There's a big list of people that went. Now the question is, when they went, did they do anything wrong? And one of the things that can usually tell you those things are how many went back multiple times. Once you get there, because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't. You're some actor and they get invited by a private jet to this big fancy island by this big real estate financial guy. And then you get there and you start looking around around you and you go, what the hell is going on here? And you get on the plane and you leave and you never go back. That's possible that a lot of famous people did that. I've been involved where I went to parties and different things where I looked at it and I went like, what the hell is this? Is getting weird, and I left. But if you went back 9 times, do the math. So I think you're going to find that, and I don't know. And listen, I have said this before. I will say it again now so that I'm on record saying it. If any one of the people in this picture, any one of them, if any other people, anyone I know well, any of it comes out, and there's evidence that they did something inappropriate, they did something illegal, I want them to burn. I want them to burn at the stake. Let's get them, let's ruin their career, let's make them do financial restitution to these young girls or boys or whatever's involved. Get them. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, I don't care. Get them, for sure. For sure, I want to see that happen. So I'm just as anxious to see the files open. I'm not sure what the delay is, but I can promise you it's not that Trump was on the island and did something wrong. That's ridiculous. So anyway, we have a problem in the perception of what's going on. Let me one more time. You don't have to put this up on just let me say this again. Bill Clinton deported 12.5 people, 12.5 million. That's a lot. That's, he was in for 8 years. So he did like 1,250,000 or something like that a year, 1,500,000, somewhere around there, which is what Trump did. Now Trump did these deportations in this first year. I don't know if this 1.5 million covers his first 4 years as president. I'm not sure. Barack Obama did 5.2 million deportations. Again, not one riot, not one rally, nothing. And besides Clinton, Bush was a Republican, did 10.3 million. On the other side of the island, nobody protested, nobody rioted, So again, now just think about it. Try to think about it logically. Don't think about it with your hatred towards any party or person, or think about it logically for a minute. What's the one thing about these 4 presidents that's different? One of them is Trump. Trump has faced the same amount of push, of resistance, of just the exhausting amount of money that has been spent to fight Trump, to fight the same exact thing that these other guys who got all kinds of support, the same exact thing, way less numbers, but the same exact thing we're talking about. And these rallies, listen, you have taken the law enforcement agencies local in Minnesota. They've been taken out of the game. These are people, career police officers, male and female, that have lived to protect for a menial salary and put their life on the line and watching their city just portrayed throughout the press as this crazy, nutty. The governor isn't helping them. The mayor isn't helping them because It's a democratic state. And so they're going to go out of their way up there. It's not Chicago, it's not Philly, it's not New York. It's, arguably a smaller city in a state that is not as influential as a New York, California, Chicago, Texas. So again, nothing against Minnesota. I'm just economically and socially claiming the truth. So we're going to make them the stage. We're gonna just blow them up. What about those cops? Why haven't those cops been able to join, like in any other operation, where we have the kid shoots Kirk, and so we've got law enforcement in Utah, state troopers in Utah, FBI, federal-wise, nationwide, and everyone's working together to try to find this guy. That's another whole story about what his real involvement was. But anyway, they all work together like we do on a manhunt or whatever we're doing. None of that going on up there. It seems to be ICE all by themselves. And local law enforcement has not been able. Why? Because they've been ordered to stand down. They've been ordered because they want this there. Don't you see that? They want this to look terrible. They want this to look, and I never said anything like those two people that were killed in Minnesota had it coming. Those two people in Minnesota that got killed deserved it. I never said anything like that. I said in my PSA, don't put yourself directly physically involved between the job that law enforcement is doing and the law enforcement agencies or agents. Please don't do that. I stand by that. Like I said, this friend of mine that I unfriended, and I didn't read all the things that he said about me and about my beliefs and so on, but I read enough of it for you to understand. I don't dislike Francine. I don't dislike Francine. I don't. Ideology-wise, we're very far, apart on the spectrum here. But there's a lot of people who won't say as loudly as I will, this is exactly why I left the Democratic Party. I was a staunch Democrat for many elections since 1980. Not anymore. I just don't believe in the direction that we've gone. I don't believe in the way we've done it. I don't believe in the misappropriation. Just look at it, the work that Elon Musk did to identify where all this wasted money is going, to all the boys' friends. The system is broken, and there's a new guy who's going to do it differently, that everyone wants to compare to Adolf Hitler and to, Nazis and communists and blah, 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 blah. I'm not buying it. I think he does things differently. I think that he's not going to allow us to come in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 10th, 20th place anymore. Not while we're paying for it. So is he perfect? No, he's not. No man or woman is. Are there a lot of people that just got the candy store doors locked and they can no longer just freely reach into the bowl and take out what they want? Yeah, there's a lot of those, and they're pissed. And some of them are going to get prosecuted. For sure. This has been 1 year of this guy as president. Wait till you see after 3. I mean, the landscape is going to really change. And then, if it's not J.D. Vance or a Republican that gets elected after this, you might see them turn it back. JFK did a lot of things that as soon as Lyndon Johnson became president, once they shot him dead, Johnson stepped in and changed the banking thing back and did a bunch of stuff that was more in line with the good old boys club and them making their money and not really caring about the welfare of American citizens. So I'm going to tell you that if this wasn't Donald Trump, again, look at the numbers. Obama, 5.2 million deportations, no riots, no protests, none. Clinton, 12.5 million. No riots, no protests. Bush, who was a Republican, 10.3 million. 0 riots. 350 protests and / riots against Trump. And he's deported 1.5 million. ICE wasn't created by Trump. This is an Obama and pre-Obama. This is, Clinton coming in. They grabbed people and locked them up left and right, violently grabbed them if they were. Lord God, we thank you for your protection, Lord. And we thank you for your guiding hand on our lives. And Lord, please bring peace to Minnesota. Please keep the agents, the law enforcement community safe, and keep the people safe, Lord. Let's, calmer heads prevail, and let's have peace in Minnesota, and get the bad people out of the country that don't belong here, and keep the protesters and everyone safe. Use common sense. Please don't get involved. Please, Lord, help these people see that you should not get in between law enforcement and criminals. It's just not a good thing. So in your name we pray, amen. Anyway, got cut off again. Don't know what's going on, but let's patch this together and say, there's a lot of hard jobs out there. I don't admire the situations that those men and women are put in, and I thank them. I thank them greatly for being of service and protecting us and saving us and doing all the things they do. Keep safe, everybody. That was the whole point of the PSA, wasn't to cast shadows on any one personality, whether they were the officer or the kid that got killed, or it wasn't that. It was just that I don't want to see anybody else get hurt. I don't want to see any more death. I don't want to see any more tragedies. So be smart. Be smart. Do your protesting. Be heard. Don't get in between law enforcement agencies or agents who are doing their job. Please don't do that. That's a recipe for disaster. It is. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon.